going on, man? How'd you feel about that last UFC card last weekend?
I think you know how I felt about that last UFC card.
I do know.
It was a good time.
Yeah, so we smashed that card. Siraj and his sniping of picks allowed us to go 8-2-1 in that card. We posted 2 picks up on the Paizaan. They were our 2 favorite plays of the week. One was our boy Costa, who knocked the man out in 45 seconds.
Beautiful showing.
Didn't even have to sweat that one. Got that one at plus money. The next one, obviously, we love Cowboy Cerrone, nostalgia, whatever it may be.
Yeah, the heart might have taken us over the edge to make the bet, but luckily for the pokes and the...
I was going to say, it's tough that fight wasn't able to play out the way it did. A few eye pokes early and just changed the complete dynamic of the fight. So we actually got a push on that one. We'll take it in hindsight, but we think Cowboy would have done the dance there.
100%. I think that was something where we knew what was going to happen going into the fight. Nico Price looked great from a stand-up perspective, but I think he got tired. And Cowboy Cerrone just gets better and better as the fight goes on. Mind you, I hope that they can do a rematch of that fight.
That fight deserves a rematch.
And to be
that one homie came out and threw 50 punches in the first 30 seconds.
It needs to be a main event, right? So they can go 5 rounds because it's
5
not
rounds
for a title.
Because that's how Cowboy will expose. He was in shape, man. This guy was ready to roll for time.
And he's just such an extreme athlete, and he brings that to the table every time.
You could tell, right? He was like, let me take the blow. Hopefully not the eye pokes, but let me take the blows while this guy's throwing 100 punches a minute. And round 2, 3, if there was a 4 and 5, it would have been over.
Yeah, I think he was just coming to his own by that point. And frankly, Nico Price was thrown off by the eye pokes. And to be honest, he was fading. He was fading a bit. He came back alive in the third. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Knowing that it was the end of the fight, he was able to turn it up over the last few minutes, probably stole a couple judges at that point. But again, I think my point there was if that was a 5-round fight, which it very much could be if they do it again as a main event, that's a beautiful fight to watch. And
yeah, absolutely.
I think Nico would know what to work on.
That's where Cowboy would really show his athleticism, his endurance, all that kind of stuff.
But again, we can't take away anything. We can't take anything away from Nico because he might show up in that fight because he knows what to do now. He knows that he got tired in the third. If I had to fix anything, especially going into a 5-round fight with Cowboy, knowing that he's a late bloomer, I mean, it's kind of black and white that the biggest thing I have to work on is probably my cardio and my endurance.
For sure. Absolutely. And that whole fight for Nico is probably very tainted with all the eye pokes. I mean, it's the only storyline that came out of that fight anyways. So.
Yeah, there was a lot of questionable shots.
Yeah, exactly. So we got those 2 picks posted. We went 1-0-1. So we decided let's get, a UFC 253 preview out for you guys.
Right.
Where we can kind of talk about some of these prelims and stuff a little earlier. And so this way, even Siraj, you can get me these picks and I can lay them not before Saturday night. All right, Siraj, what's the first fight you want to talk about today?
Well, I think I've brought up this name with you, Shane Young and our boy, Ludowitz Klein, short notice fighter.
Oh, 22-year-old Marcus All here.
Yeah, 22 Mark. Just leaner. He's a little leaner and a little smaller. But yeah, that's the guy. And
all right, so we'll call him Marky Mark for now.
Marky Mark. So Marky Mark is basically taking this fight on short notice. He was supposed to fight Nate Landauer. Okay. Nate Landauer, we saw him fight. If you remember, we bet on that fight. He fought Darren Elkins, basically went and got tired in the third round. And we were kind of scared about that bet. So that's where, for me, even if this fight's on short notice, odds-wise, I haven't really looked. But I'm going to say short notice fighter taking on Shane Young, soon to be a father, fighting out of Israel's camp. Like, I'm not seeing any reasons. Yeah, I'm just not seeing...
So question for you before we dive into this pick.
Yo, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I see you itching.
Yes.
How do you compare Marky Mark to that dude he was supposed to fight, Lewandauer or whatever his name is?
Well, the way I see it is getting tired in the third round never looks good, especially to Vegas or anyone analyzing this fight when fighters can go the distance. This is a weight class where you expect fighters to be able to go, for the most part, 3 rounds. I think Shane Young, despite not having as many active fights on his record right now, I think he's training to that level. He's training with a guy who's trying to go 5 rounds, who's been going 5 rounds for an extended period of time in Israel. Kai Kara-France, who we're going to touch on later. These guys are all working together. Dan Hooker, oh my God. Remember the Dustin Poirier fight? You watched that with me.
Fight of the year, man.
Oh my God! There's porn and there's Dan Hooker, Dustin Poirier. You know, like where do we go with this?
Do you compare it to like porn with good storyline?
Hey! Don't expose a man. Relax.
So, question for you. So clearly preparation matters in this
100%.
sport.
Yep.
And it sounds like his original fight, these two are comparable, Marky Mark and Lewandowski.
Yeah, well, I think it's just the idea of being able to be athletic and being able to take a beating. You know, to be honest with you, if you can go the distance, that says a lot. And Shane Young just hasn't fought that much. So that's where I'm curious.
So the thing that stands out to me, and I know you haven't divulged into the odds yet, but I would have expected the odds to significantly increase for Shane Young now that there's a different fighter that he's fighting. He's probably not as qualified, and it's on short notice. Whereas Shane has been training for a fight regardless. So would you have not expected the odds to severely change?
Well, that kind of touches on my point. I think the lean over there just has to do with the fact that Shane Young hasn't fought that much. If you had to just go on based on what you saw on paper, that's where he's going to lose value, right? But you don't know what a fighter has done in that time. What have they done with the time? Well, we know he's going to be a father, but at the same time, like I said, one of the fastest growing camps in the world out of New Zealand. All of these fighters are getting better and better.
Of course.
Dan Hooker, Israel, Kai Kara-France now. We're going to see him fight on a main card. These are guys that are becoming maybe not household names, but we're starting to get to know them. And I just think Shane Young is around the right company to warrant some serious attention.
Yes, of course. So the line is minus 200. How do you feel about that?
Minus 200? Like, that's, I mean, you know, as a good parlay bet and maybe even looking at some finishes, like let's look a little deeper into this. We'll look at it over the next couple of days, check the weigh-ins. We want to know how a guy looks, especially taking a fight on short notice. Let's see how the weigh-ins look. Let's see if the lines change. You know about my argument. Anytime there's a highlight of a guy or anytime someone gets some kind of a glimpse.
It significantly affects the line.
And you know, if this was a conspiracy theory, Fies, you've seen it. You know I'm not lying. I've shown you live.
It's instantaneous. It's
a commercial. You saw a promotion for a fight. Did you not? That was on the main card when we were watching the prelims, and we watched
significantly
because of the promo. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
I think we're good here with Shane Young. Let me tell me about the next fight you want to talk about, dude.
Ooh, you know about Diego Sanchez.
We're going there already.
We have to. The nightmare, the dream. We don't know which one he wants to be yet, but
he could be everything.
Yeah, he is everything. You saw the media scrum, didn't you? What'd you think of that?
Honestly, man, it was entertainment to the max. But this guy is out to lunch.
Yeah.
My initial thought was, how did you get weed in Abu Dhabi?
Right? I mean, I'm sure you can get anything for a price in Abu Dhabi.
I don't know, man. The restrictions there are pretty tight.
I mean, didn't you show me something about lockers? Whoa.
I believe they were called porta potties. But yes, let's move on.
Let's move on. Jeez.
So, yeah, we got Diego Sanchez here fighting Mr. Jake Matthews.
Yep.
How do you feel about this?
Well, Jake Matthews I've watched for most of his career. He's fairly young. He's already got over 10 fights in the UFC at just 26 years old. I can see him finishing, and that's where I really want to say if Diego has a chance, maybe it's through punches, but the only person that's ever knocked out Jake Matthews is Kevin Lee on the come-up, and that's a very, very strong fighter to lose to, especially at that age. And so, to be honest, we saw him knock out Mickey Gall. Thank you for that, Diego. I mean, that's at least a highlight I can take to the grave with me and maybe helps you retire sooner. I feel like he's trying to end out his contract. I don't think he wants to sign again. I think he's done with fighting. Based on the clip you watched, wouldn't you tell me that his next goal is to just work with this coach / life coach or partner or whatever?
Maybe get on some Big Brother or something too. Like he's
celebrity. Is he warrant? Would he warrant celebrity Big Brother or regular?
I think so. He's been fighting for like 30 years.
Yeah, but I mean, from a betting perspective, I mean, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't lay heavily on Jake Matthews and even potentially a finish.
Honestly, it's very encouraging because I know your love for these old school dudes, man. And the fact that you are able to walk away from the odds that we're getting on Diego Sanchez to remove your bias from it gives me a lot of hope here. So.
But I haven't seen the line, so how do you know I've done that?
Ooh, all right then. I thought you could assume, but do you want to know what the odds are?
Of course. I mean, you don't want to because it might influence. I'm just kidding. Tell me the odds. I need to know.
So your boy, Mr. Jake Matthews here, He is about a -700 face.
Okay, tell me the finish. For the submission or knockout. I'd like to know that.
I will get that for you in 1 sec.
And to be honest with you, are you thinking about maybe a Diego Sanchez finish sprinkle? No, I'm just kidding. No. Good.
What honestly really enticed me on improving these odds, because it's pretty telling what's going to happen in this fight, and I think his media scrum showed that too. He's there for a good time.
Yeah. Remember, you were going to put up a clip. You were loving that too much.
Oh yeah, keep an eye out for the Paizaan. We're going to throw up a little bit of his media scrum there, but
it's too beautiful to not share with the world.
So the odds on Jake Matthews to knock him out are actually pretty damn good, man. It's pretty split between whether it's going to go to decision or knockout.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
He's at a +137 for a knockout.
Beautiful. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Diego Sanchez, from athletic perspective, Jake Matthews is a very good fighter, and I think he's had time to get better. I think Diego Sanchez might be checked out a bit more from the fighting than we actually want to believe. I think that media scrum really showed that. And so, to be honest with you, like I said, watch the weigh-ins, watch these lines move a little bit. Let's see what we can come up with in terms of deciding on that decision or finish. But the way I see it is, unless Diego's landing a lucky blow and maybe out wrestling this kid, I just think he's too athletic for him. And I think he's been working enough on his game to at least handle a half-checked out Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, and to be honest, I love those odds on the knockout. So, you know, for a man who's on the tail end of his career who doesn't seem like he cares as much, Jake Matthews probably has something to prove here. So I'm on board with that for sure.
Yeah, and he's already fought some very solid guys in the UFC. Like, I just can't see this not going his way at this age as he approaches his prime. These are the fights he should be winning now.
Perfect. And so what's the next one you want to talk about?
Well, there's a Canadian boy on the card. I'm sure you noticed as you were looking up your odds. And I want you to kind of you probably know a little bit about Hakeem Dawodu.
Well, I know he's from my hometown of Calgary, and so it's unbiasedly, or biasedly, shall I say, the most I'm going to root for a man. But
knowing the lines,
give me a little information on these guys.
Well, here, how about this? Knowing the lines, having that Canadian bias, did you have a lean before I tell you anything?
Of course. Hey, I'm getting decent odds on a Calgary man. I'm sorry. That's who I want to take.
Well, Zubaira does train with your boy Daniel Cormier.
Ooh. Why you gotta do that to me?
I know. And the worst part about it is he lost only to Renato Moicano by a split decision. And frankly, Zubair's a strong fighter, and I'm pretty excited to see what he can do.
And he has the ability to finish, you're saying?
No, I actually want to see what the decision is, because sometimes, you know, these guys just can withstand a lot of damage and last. And I'm curious if him winning by decision has some serious juice.
So this fight is actually a pick. Nobody's actually favored it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's -110s across the board.
Maybe you just go with it.
So the value, if you have a lean, I think the value is there to not have to take the actual type of finish. But if we are looking at by decision, he's a +187.
Yeah, see, and what's the finish?
The finish, that's +333.
Yes, and that's exactly how I envisioned. Like, if somehow I got +200 value on the decision for Zubair, because that's how I see him winning. Hakeem is a well-honored striker. I'm not putting anything past him in that sense, but a takedown and a grind out for 3 rounds, like, that's up Zubair's alley. That's what these boys are really good at.
Yeah, and so that makes sense.
You know, and that +187 for me, I mean, maybe it changes. Maybe people get a nice glimpse of that Hakeem Dawodu body at the weigh-ins, and we can see a +200.
He's jacked, man.
Oh, he's jacked. And everybody just sees that and just starts pounding the knockout by him and stuff like that. I mean, you never know, right? I mean,
if I see him at a Flames game, I'm running, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, you should inquire about that. See if he's a hockey fan. You could definitely go to a game together. That'd be fun.
Yo, so down.
Hakeem, hit my boy up.
All right, so that's a good one. I'm always on board for that, especially because, again, I think you've removed your bias from this one. Our instinct is definitely going to be to take the Canadian men. So the fact that, you know, you've removed your bias here, I think it's a good thing.
This is a great one for the weigh-ins. Let's see how these guys come out. Let's see how they look in the face-off. Let's really get a gauge of their energy and how they're looking going into, you know, the bulk, heading into the fight. And we'll see. I think, you know, the fact that it is a pick-em makes me feel really good about Zubair. I'm not going to lie, heading into this. So let's keep an eye out for that one.
Absolutely. So these were more of the prelim fights that we were talking about. Now, Siraj gave me a little bit of insight on this card. And to give you a little background on us, we excel in the prelims. I believe that there's truly some sort of outliers, some sort of not enough information on these fighters.
Exactly.
And so you can remove the Vegas aspect from it. And that's really where our bread and butter is. Siraj is going to give you a little insight on this card.
Well, the way I always described it to Pies is this is a young sport. It's a very young sport. And in terms of tape on people in general, like you want to know what every fight John Jones has been in, you can probably find some kind of tape on as many fights as possible that John Jones has been in. That's how young this sport is. And so when you want to scout and you want to get to know fighters, that's what makes it relatively easy compared to sports like baseball that have been around for, over 100 years. It's a really different, aspect of things. And so I think that's where we can benefit from these prelim fights when guys are just coming into the UFC. There's only so much out there of them, and we're making the best of that. I think that's,
and so me, some of these fights
are
on the
basically
main card,
prelims 2 years ago.
All right, so leading up to that, that's done with the prelims.
God.
What's the first fight you want to talk about on the main card?
Oh no! I know you're gonna.
This doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I know you're gonna hate me for this, and I know you did your research on this card, so you know that there's a female fight on the card.
Come on, man.
I know, and so based on Paizaan's reaction, we may not have a very consecutive record as we do with other prelim fights.
They're so unpredictable.
Yeah, they're very unpredictable. But here's the thing. I think we're onto something with this one. I think we're onto something here. And Sijara Eubanks, remember we said tape means everything. And we just watched Sijara Eubanks fight.
That's Chase Young's little sister?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it could be the mother, to be honest with you.
Oh, we throwing up 35 years here.
Yeah. I think Chase is only like early 20s, maybe 21. But yeah. I mean, whoa, let's not now. Yeah, it could be. Anyway, moving on. The thing with Sijara Eubanks is that we've just watched her fight against Juliana Villa. We saw her take the, heavily favored striker down. And so I'm quite impressed with what we saw. If she's coming in as a huge underdog again, that's a huge mistake by Vegas, to be honest. That was a massive failure. And so they might want to rectify that. And so right now I'm wondering if that's a fight.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what odds would make you happy on this fight?
To be honest with you, based on what I saw and what I believe Ketlin Vieira brings to the table, if she was anything above a plus 100, like if she was plus money, I would 100% jump on that, big time.
On Chase Young?
On Chase Young, correct.
Oh, yeah. So she's a pretty massive underdog.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm talking like plus 170.
Plus 170? So for a girl that's seen the plus 300s and 400s quite a lot, I mean, that's nothing. So we're hopping on that most likely. Again, let's wait for the weigh-ins. Let's see what happens. But, that's a fight where there's a good chance we're hopping on that big time.
Of course. And, of course, stay tuned for our picks. They're going to be posted on the Paizaan.
Yes, sir.
Next fight, what you got, Spooky?
Well, let's keep rolling here. So we finished with the girl pick. Let's get you back to feeling good and feeling confident about the picks, okay? So right now we got our boy Kai Kara-France against Brandon Royval. Why are you laughing?
I knew this would be on the docket. Yeah, the man shares the same name as your son. He's obviously ending up on the card.
I mean, yes, there's a bit of bias there. I mean, to be fair, Kai was born a lot later than I've been watching Kai Kara-France fight and be on The Ultimate Fighter. But, yeah, there's a bit. And he's Israel's, yeah, he's from the camp as well. And so I'm a big fan. And so I'm hoping that we get some favorable odds here. Fighting a guy like Brandon Royval, who just got, fighting as a full-time job. He was a security guard who fought Tim Elliott, who was fighting for the title not too long ago, beat him, and then he quit his job as a security guard after getting a sponsorship and is ready to fight full-time. I mean, there's a chance he could be mall cop turned pro MMA fighter, getting fights like Tim Elliott and Kai Kara-France. That's a big deal.
That's a story, man.
I mean, jokes aside, it was actually for a child detention center. So I was kind of laying off of that, but I didn't want to touch on that. But yeah, he's a good guy. He looked good in his fight. But again, Kai Kara-France training with guys like Israel, really looking like he's in his prime now. If this guy chooses to wrestle, I'm a little worried. But again, great striker, really good kickboxer. Hoping that, with the age, with the development, with the experience, he's now worked on his game as a whole. Israel's not really, worried about getting taken down, stuff like that. These are the things we want guys like Kai Kara-France to feel as well. So I'm hoping we get that kind of bump in the odds. Like maybe Vegas knows.
That obviously follows up to the next question. What are you hoping for there?
Well, I'm hoping that Vegas really understands that, maybe this guy can get taken down. And so we don't get pummeled with what could be a huge favorite based on look and training partner and that kind of stuff. Because again, there is a chance he gets taken down. And there is a chance he might not be able to get back up. But I have faith that he can. But again, that should weigh us out.
So he is a pretty big favorite, minus 250.
Yeah. So again, like if I'm looking at that, like that might be a parlay with his boy Shane Young. Maybe we take a training partner special and just parlay those two and roll the dice. I think that's a good idea because his boy Israel. Oof, I can't wait for those odds.
Oh man! So keep an eye out for our Kai Kara-France picks and keep an eye out for Mall Cop 2.
Oh, stop that, fucking casual.
All right, so it looks like we just got 2 left. I believe they're the co-main events.
Yep, we got 2 title fights, and I cannot believe Jan has a title fight right now. That's pretty amazing. He's beat Luke Rockhold, Ronaldo Souza, and Corey Anderson all consecutively. Recently lost to Thiago Santos, who actually got a title shot anyway. So it lines up well. I just think Dominic Reyes, from a fight perspective, like this is the guy that everyone thinks beat John Jones. On the cards.
That's all I remember of the guy.
Right? Unanimous decision, still in Jones's way. Everybody votes Jones's way, right? Blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, he's been tested for anything and everything. So, at the end of the day, he seems to be done with this division. These 2 guys are fighting for it. Dominic Reyes just, on paper, looked like the better fighter. But when you really dig deep, like, Jan's got experience. He's got everything that you want in an underdog right now. And so for me, thinking about the odds, like Dominic Reyes could be anything between a minus 250 to a minus 400 for this fight, I think, depending on how much weight that they have on him. That's the real thing. But I think Jan has such a big name list of wins that even Vegas will be like, well, he's done this recently.
A good point that you kind of made up is that everyone's going to buy into that John Jones fight, right? But
100%.
John Jones is very much on the decline.
Exactly. So, like, if we're talking about the guy that potentially beat John Jones, I'm sorry to say, but those odds need to be sitting at, like, minus 300, minus 350. Like, I don't see any reason for them not to be. It just doesn't make sense. So, if they're anything below that, there's something about Jan that we need to know.
We are missing, for sure.
That's my point there.
And the other thing is that, like, just looking blindly at where the money lies and stuff like that, like, everyone's pounding Reyes. Like, this is not going to be a 50-50 action.
So, man, remember we talked about this fight. 2 weeks ago was like, hey, man, guess what? When Dominic Reyes fights, we got to pound this guy. He's the guy that everyone thinks beat John Jones. He looked that good. Like, there's a good chance he's that good. But now, like from a betting perspective, because let's be honest here, maybe this isn't our heaviest play of the day anyway. Co-main events, we suck at that. Why would we bother?
This is not where we put our bread and butter. This is discussion topic.
Of course. And so at the end of the day, chase the juice for less money. Let's roll.
Yeah, I like it. You're getting over plus 200 odds.
Yeah.
Somebody
maybe
who's ranked number 1, number 2. Yeah. Now you're getting real crazy.
Yeah. I mean, let's move on from there. We'll look at the weigh-ins. We'll see how they look. And man, that one's got me excited. What are the lines officially?
So Thing is actually a minus 275 favorite. And I've seen him before already at minus 300 as well.
Okay.
So the fact that it is actually moving the other way tells me that, our boy's catching a little bit of action now.
So that's good news. And watch, they're going to show one promo with this guy showing a couple highlight knockouts, and all of a sudden we're going to lose this guy to maybe plus 175, plus 200. I ain't trying to see
hope not, but I agree. Everyone's going to yawn it up, man. They're going to want to yawn it up.
I want to yawn it up too.
So the last fight we got to talk about, we're not really going to dive into this because there's a million places you can go read about this fight, but obviously it's Adesanya.
Yeah, like for me, to be honest, if he gets out of that first round, it takes him a little bit of time to really get used to fighter. But a guy like Kelvin Gastelum, who landed a lot of punches leading into that 5th round, I mean, that's a big deal. So at the end of the day, give me odds under minus 200, 220 if they're under those.
We can't not take the style bender, right?
Yeah, but for me, it has to be odds like that. If you're coming in at minus 250.
But that's what I mean. He is coming in at less than a minus 200.
Okay, so
in my opinion. he is present day GSP. Let's be real here.
I mean, very different fight styles, but in terms of dominance, there's going to be an argument for that if he wins.
Tactical defense, you know?
Yeah, but the thing is, he takes so much damage, and that's what scares me, right? With a guy like Paulo Costa, that's the thing about GSP, right? Like, he got tired of taking damage, that he resorted to a style of fighting where he dominated in a way where he didn't have to take damage. And I'm the biggest Floyd Mayweather backer there is on the planet because of that. So I can't hate on GSP, but I do.
It's smart.
But yeah, at the end of the day, that's where I think Israel kind of lacks a little bit, and that's what makes me scared about a power puncher in the first round like Paulo Costa. But I've seen all Paulo's fights in the UFC.
We know that
it's not that
Israel, if he's going to lose his title, he has to get knocked. This can't go to decision where, you know, at any point we were questioning who could win, because in those scenarios, Israel's going to take it all day. Yeah,
on points he definitely has it. So again, like if we figure out that, you know, Paulo's got that chin, maybe we sprinkle on the points for Israel. Like, that's not a bad bet. But like, again, he finished a smaller fighter, thicker fighter, slightly powerful puncher like Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, that's where, for me, at the end of the day,
I think it's perfect.
In terms of, you know, who he's fought, when he's fought them. Paulo Costa went to a decision with Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero's getting old. He's obviously getting fed up with having to take on these beasts like Israel and Robert Whittaker. So, you know, he's had a tough go because he's just got absolute monsters to deal with.
Absolutely.
And so,
all right, well,
check it
thanks
out.
for listening to our UFC 253 preview. Keep an eye out on the Paizaan. We're going to have plenty of picks up for this weekend. And yeah, thanks a lot, Sooky.
Anytime, man. Getting ready for some football after that, so let's get it.
All right. We out here.
Peace.